All right. Thank you guys for joining me again for this equipment test. I'm John Towers. I run a podcast called the Abercast, where we deal with occult, history, conspiracy, and violence. Tonight we're going to be talking about a book called The Tarot of the Bohemians, specifically chapters 4 and 5, which are the keys to the minor and the major arcana. So in case I get going too fast, you guys aren't taking notes or whatever. So this started last month when I did this on the podcast, and I caused a little bit of confusion because there's some graphics and stuff involved in this, and it's hard to do that just on a podcast, right? So I thought that I would try this out. So if I get moving too fast, or you want a better idea of what I'm talking about, you can go to abercast.com, sign into the mailing list. You could do this right now. It only takes a matter of seconds. So you could sign on to the mailing list, and it'll give you a link to a spot. You can go on my website and you can upload all the 2 of these chapters, plus notes for me and all of the graphics. It's all right there in a PDF file. So all you got to do is sign into the newsletter or the mailing list. I like to encourage everyone to share, subscribe, all that stuff. So we're just going to get into this. I hope my audio is working this time around. Tarot cards. So there's 78 tarot cards. And before I get into this, I guess I should say, I think the reason that it caused so much confusion is because we're not talking about a spread. We're not talking about how to throw the cards down when you're using them to read or whatever. What we're talking about, what Papus here is talking about in the Tarot of the Bohemians, he calls it the machine of the tarot. It's how each of the suits relate to each other. All the cards relate to each other, and then how all of the suits relate to each other. And then ultimately, it's how the 2 arcana relate to each other. So it's not a spread, it's more of an examination of the machinery that works underneath it. So in order to start this, we got to kind of break down how the deck is broken down. Okay, so there's 58 minor arcana cards. And that could be represented as 4 packs of 14 cards. And then there's the major arcana, which is which are 22 cards, and that's a pack of 21 cards, and then 1 unnumbered card. So this is the way that he explains it in this thing, but he muddies it up further as he goes. The major arcana for him is busted down into 3, they call them septenaries, 3 septenaries, and the septenary is just a group of 7 items, right? So he busts these major arcana cards down into 3 groups of septenaries. And then he has this 4th group that he calls the general transitionary cards. So you're like, hey, if there's only 22 of these cards, how does he do that that math? So he has the septenaries are grouped into 6 cards, right? So septenary 1, septenary 2, septenary 3. And then that leaves 4 transition cards. So that's 22 plus 58 is 78 cards altogether. All of our cards are arranged at this point. So if you're like 1 pack of 1 unnumbered card, he puts that card down here into the general transitionary card, into that pack. We're gonna get way more into that later. So again, before going further, I just want to say that we're not going to be talking about a spread. It's going to look like it to some people, right? We're talking about the machine of the cards. It's how the cards in each suit relate to each other, and then it's about how each suit relates to each other, and how each arcana relates to each other. So the way that this all starts the way this all starts, this, like the blueprint or the substructure of this whole thing is this kind of cross, or this X marks the spot. And Papus bases, so if you read McGregor Mathers, General Tarot, a bunch of other tarot cards, McGregor Mathers bases most of his stuff is towards the astrological side. Papus is towards the Hebrew alphabet side of it. So this kind of blueprint that we're going to hang all this stuff on is based on this name of God, which is 4 letters. You got the Yod, Hey, Vo, and then there's the second Hey. The Yod, the Hey, the Vo, Hey. So if we start looking at this in relation to the suits, or what Papus calls the colors of the cards, we start talking first about the suits. So we're going to talk about wands first, right? And there's a reason that wands goes first. So we're going to talk about wands. So we're talking about the suit, the face cards of the suit. So the Yod would be the king. The Hey would be the queen. The Vo would be the knight. And this would be the knave. The second Hey. So this is Yod, Hey, Vo, Hey, king, queen, knight, knave. So, you know, we're going to also talk about this as masculine, feminine. This is what's called the neuter, which the way he explains it is it's like the product of the masculine and the feminine is the neuter, and then this is the transitionary. This is the transitionary spot. So, so let's see. So that's how the face cards of the suits break down. And now the suits actually break down into this same kind of pattern. The suits break down into the exact same pattern. And it goes wands, because it's the masculine. And then it goes cups, the feminine. And then it goes swords, which is the neuter position. And then we got left the pentacles. Now the pentacles the wand is the masculine, the cups are the feminine, the swords are the neuter, and the pentacles are the transitionary. So you're like, well, what if these are all the suits, then what is this transition to? Well, when it becomes time to get to it, this is actually the transitionary piece up to the major arcana. This is the same way that the 0 card is going to be the transitionary piece back to the minor arcana, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we go there, we're going to talk about how the number cards in each of the suits fit into this realm, right? They fit into the schematic. This is Yod, Hey, Vo, second Hey. Okay, so the way that the number cards start is just the same way. The ace starts up here. This is the number 1 card. This would be the 2. That would be the 3, and this would be the 4. And what is this? This is the transitionary to the next piece. So basically, each suit, the number cards of each suit fit into this. Another thing that Papus talks about is a ternary. So there's septenaries, which are 7s, which are actually 6s, but these ternaries, how things get busted down into 3 sections, right? And that's what we're going to see here. So this is, boy, here we go. This is yod, hey, wo, hey, yod, hey, wo, hey, yod, hey, wo, hey. This is a great way to look at how the number cards work on this system. I'm going to change colors here. So the ace card goes here, 2, 3, 4. So the 4 is in the second hey position. So that would put it at the top of the next cycle. 5, 6, 7. So 7 is in the second hey position, which would put it at the top of this motherfucker right here. 8, 9, and then 10 in that transitionary position. So we're looking at, I should have left that up, I guess. We're looking at this in the way of, for the king or the yod, the first hay or the cups, or the vo or the knights, or the knaves or the second hay, right? Yod, hay, vo, hay. King, cups, queen, knave. 1, 4, 7, 2, 5, 8, 3, 6, 9. And then down here in this transitionary section, it's just 10. So this is another way to look at it. Another diagram. Let's see, we got this circle. Like that. Same thing. Yod, hey, wo, hey. And then so this would be the king, queen, dyslexia. Dyslexics of the world, unite or untie. Knights, knaves. Then it would be 1, 4, 7, or 1, 2, 3, 4. You see? Then 4, 6, 7, then 7, then 8, 9, 10. That transitionary piece. So, ternaries we're talking about. These are sad. So this is the king. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is just another way to look at it. except instead of with the 4 points, like around like the north, west, south, and east position, it goes 1, 2, 3, and that 4 is in the general transition period here in this turn area. So that would put 4 on top of the second part, right? 4, 5, 6. And we know what goes in here. 7, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then this last one, this is queens, this is knights, and this is names. There would only be one thing, because all it is that transitionary spot. I don't know if you see 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10. We get this glare off of this light here. I'm sorry about that. So this is a graphic representation of one suit. And there's a graphic representation just like that target looking one that we just saw. But this maps the whole, there's no way I could draw that here, so I have it prepared. So this is the whole of Yod, whole of Hay, whole of Vo, and whole of the second Hay. These are all the kings, these are all the queens, these are all the knights, these are all the knaves. And they're all echoing same numbers, right? 1, 4, 7 for the kings, for each one. Wands, cups, swords, pentangles, they all have the 1, the 4, and the 7. With the queens, they all have the 2, the 5, and the 8. So basically we just took this last graphic that we had, and we just magnified it. We just multiplied it by 4 to show them all. If you want to get a better look at this, like I said, the mailing list PDF has this in detail. So we're going to move on now to the major arcana. We're going to do this by talking about his septenaries. These are the septenaries of Papus. And the 4 transitionary cards that he has towards the end here. So in the septenaries pretty much go by the numbers of the cards, right? So the first septenary is it's magician, the high priestess, the empress, the emperor, the hierophant or the pope, and the lovers. So that's the first septenary. And the second septenary is the chariot, the justice, the hermit, the wheel of fortune, strength. Now when we talk about, well, hold on, and then the hanged man. But back up here to talk about strength for a second. In other versions of septenaries where there's actually just 3 sets of 7 cards, McGregor Mathers moves strength and justice. He switches them, and he's got an astrological reason to do it. I just wanted to bring that up. That really doesn't have anything to do with this Tarot of the Bohemians. The last septenary is death, temperance, the devil, the lightning struck tower, the stars, and the moon. So we have those 3 septenaries, and then we have the 4 cards of the general transitionary period, which is the easterly part of our little name of God compass business, and it's what's left. It's sun, judgment, the fool, and the world. So that's the major arcana, and those are Papus's version of the septenaries of the major arcana. So, sticking to the same blueprint from the minor arcana, I'm just going to restate here. Yod is active. Hay is passive, Vo is neuter. And the second hay is that transitionary spot. So the way that he looks at these, the way that he busts these down is by ternary. So we're going back to the triangle model. And he basically uses the exact same way, but he doesn't use the circles this time, which is interesting, maybe. So this is yod, hey, vo, hey. Oh wait, fuck, hold on. I jacked that up. Yod, hey, vo, and then in the middle is this hey number 2. So here we go. This would be, here, wait. One, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is how the first septenary breaks down. Okay, this is the general rule of the septenaries. The first one breaks down. The first one he changes it up just a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he goes negative. And 4 is here, 5 is here, and 6 is here. So this would be the positive septenary, or the positive half of the sept. So yeah, so his septenaries get more and more complicated. Not only are they only 6 cards, but then he divides them up. He divides those 6 cards up into a positive and a negative. So the way that it works out in the book, the complete picture of the first, or the active septenary, is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're in this part of the septenary is negative, so it's sort of going backwards. It's making like it's evening out, and that puts that 7 in what would be the transitionary period, or not the transitionary period, the transitionary position. So we're going to go to the second septenary, which is the passive, the hay, the hay septenary. Now he has 2 parts of the septenary this time, the same thing, but even though one he shows as negative, he doesn't flip this one because it's passive. You know, so 7, 8, 10 is the first one up here, 11, 12, 13. So we're going back. This is going to look pretty similar, but there are differences, right? 7, 8, 9, 10, and then this spinning this way, 10, 11, spinning down this way, 12. So it still balances each other out. And that would actually put 13 in the middle, that transitionary spot. All right, we're getting into the home stretch here. This is the septenary, which is the neuter version, right? So it's 13 and 16, 14 and 17, 15 and 18, and then 19. So this would look, when you're mapping it out, still look pretty similar to the other ones, right? Here's Yod. Here is Hey. Here is Vo. Here is the second Hey. God damn it, I keep messing that up. There. Okay. All right, so this goes 13, 14, 15, 16, going up this way to 17, going over this way to 18, and then being stuck in that transitionary period is at 19. This is the neuter septenary. Now, here we go to the final septenary. We start with the 19, which was in the transitionary spot, 20 in the Hey position, 21, and that's 0, which is the Fool card. And instead of a Star of David here, what we wind up getting is basically 1/2 of one of these septenaries, right? In that transitionary period is the Fool's card. So like I mentioned when we were talking about the minor arcana, and we talked about the wands and the cups and the swords and the pentacles, of how the pentacles were in that transitionary period in the minor arcana, meaning that it's like the conduit, it's the transitionary period or the transitionary position to the major arcana. Just the same way as this Fool card, the 0 is the transitionary to the minor arcana. So I think that's interesting. So if you caught the podcast, the tarot card episode last month, which was called The Keys to the Minor or Major Arcana, I hope that this helped sort out sort of the diagrams and stuff that I was talking about. Yeah, and thank you very much. Have a good evening.